You ever roll up to your own house after a long trip and within 5 minutes feel like you stepped into the opening scene of a courtroom drama? Yeah, that happened. Picture this. I just pulled into the drive of my old lake cabin, dust still swirling from my tires, thinking about nothing but a cold shower and maybe cracking a beer out on the porch, when bam, here come the flashing red and blue, two squad cars rolling up like I'd robbed a bank. And standing at the edge of my property, arms crossed tighter than a vice, was Karen from the HOA, face set like she'd just found her life's purpose, catching me, apparently, in the act of coming home. My heart did that weird sinking thing, where your brain's trying to catch up. Because the last time I saw Karen, she was handing me a fine for my mailbox being 2 inches too close to the street. I'd been gone just 2 weeks, off the grid fishing, not a care in the world. And here she was, phone still hot in her hand from calling the cops. 3 board members huddled behind her like backup singers for a bad cover band, and my neighbors poking their heads out of windows to watch the circus. "Officer, that's him," she yelled, like she was casting me in the villain's role for the whole street to see. "He broke into this property. Remove him immediately before he causes trouble." And I'll admit, I just sat there a second, keys still in the ignition, looking at my own house and wondering what reality I'd landed in. The officer, young guy, nervous, walked over, hand on his belt, and the whispers started spreading like wildfire. Didn't he own that place? I heard he left for good. HOA's taking over, finally. But here's the part that made it all worth sticking around for. The police chief pulled up behind the squad cars, SUV, sunglasses, the whole 9 yards. What Karen didn't know, and what nobody on that street knew, was that the chief was my cousin Mark. He stepped out, did that cop walk, calm as a summer breeze, and as soon as Karen started her rant about dangerous trespassers, he clocked me, and his whole face changed, just for a split second. But you could feel the air shift. Let me back up a sec, because this little HOA war didn't start with sirens. No, it started months earlier, when I bought this cabin to get away from the world. I wanted peace. Dogs in the yard, books on the porch, days where the only thing I worried about was whether the fish were biting. But HOAs? They don't rest. First morning after I moved in, Karen showed up in her uniform, clipboard, sunglasses, perfume like a warning shot, handing out a list of violations. My fence, my porch light, the color of my mailbox. I tried playing nice, even brought cookies to a meeting once. She fined my dog for digging a hole, fined my grass for being unsightly, and sent more letters than I got Christmas cards. But I paid. I fixed. I kept my head down. Life's too short to fight about grass. Or so I thought. Because the week I left for my trip, Tom, the neighbor who keeps to himself but has a heart the size of a pickup, texted me. "Karen's snooping around your place. She's talking about calling the cops." I thought he was joking. He wasn't. 2 weeks later, here we are, cops in the driveway, neighbors in their pajamas with coffee mugs, Karen declaring my property abandoned. She was ready for her moment. I barely had time to step out before Karen shoved a folder in the officer's face, full of evidence, bylaws, printouts, claims I'd abandoned the place. She was so sure, so loud, so public about it. But when Mark, my cousin, finally looked at me, took off his shades, gave me that little smirk, I knew things were about to flip. Karen started her speech again. He violated Section 14, left his porch light on for 3 nights, his grass is over height, and his trash bin. Mark cut her off, voice soft but sharp. "Karen, who owns this cabin?" She waved the folder. "Technically, he does, but under association rules. That's all I needed," Mark said, turning to me. "Jack Turner, right?" I grinned. "Last I checked." That's when the crowd leaned in. "He's my cousin," Mark announced, and the silence landed so heavy you could hear a squirrel sneeze. Karen tried to recover. But the fines, the letters, the rules. And Mark just looked at the other officers and said, "Stand down, boys. No trespass here." She started listing every complaint, her voice getting higher, the neighbors starting to laugh. One of the officers turned away, trying not to crack up. It was like watching her grip on power slip with every word. But Karen didn't let go easy. Tom stepped in with a twist. "Chief, you want to see the letters she sent while Jack was gone? Threatening to tow his truck, change his locks? Said maybe someone else deserved this place more than him." The crowd started murmuring. Karen turned to me. "You had cameras?" I shrugged. Wouldn't you? Mark faced her, dead serious. Karen, did you go on his property? She stammered something about inspections for grass. Neighbors started filming on their phones. One guy whispered, better than Netflix. You know what I mean? You could see the power shift in real time. Mark kept his cool. Karen, you called officers for grass and fence color? She wouldn't back down. He's setting a bad example, Chief. If we let him stay, soon people will have chickens, boats, paint fences whatever color they want. Mark just raised an eyebrow. You know how many real emergencies we see? Burglaries, missing kids, and you called us for a porch light. Now the laughter was open. Someone started clapping slow, sarcastic. And just when you thought it was over, my dog Duke, big goofy Labrador, came barreling out the door, tongue out, tail wagging, right for Karen. She shrieked. Folder flew in the air, papers everywhere, and Duke, bless him, put two muddy paws right on her blazer. The crowd lost it. One cop bit his lip to stop laughing. Mark just shook his head. Ma'am, that's not an attack, that's excitement. Jack, leash your dog. I offered to clean her jacket, offered club soda, anything to get us back to talking like humans. Karen was shaky, but she took the towel. The crowd settled. Mark asked for my deed, my license, my email proving I'd told the HOA I'd be out of town. All in order. Jack, you want to handle the grass? I'll mow this afternoon. Tom piped up, see? Solved 4 problems, 0 fines. Even Karen smiled, just barely, but it was there. But you know HOAs. There's always a twist. As we're cooling down, an orange tow truck pulls up. Lakeside enforcement, big bold letters. The driver hops out, doesn't say a word, just goes for my truck. Karen turns pale. Mark blocks him, asks for paperwork. Turns out Bryce Dalton, the HOA vice president, signed the tow order, claiming my truck was parked illegally. Karen fumbles her phone, calls Bryce, who refuses to back down. The order stands, he's non-compliant. Tom, ready to throw himself under the truck if he has to, glares at the driver. Mark goes full chief. You touch that truck, you're trespassing. The tow guy hesitates. Right then, a county animal control van rolls up, another anonymous complaint, this time about Duke being aggressive. Officer checks Duke, finds nothing but a wiggly, tennis ball-obsessed lab. The board member who made the call, Paul, shrugs, says Duke barked at him. Tom rolls his eyes. Lady, he brings people tennis balls. Now everyone sees it. This is more than rules. It's a power play. Mark stands between me and the crowd, tells the tow driver to lower my truck. The guy finally gives in. And then, just as we think the chaos is over, a neighbor yells, "You're on Facebook Live." Half the county's watching by now. Karen's face is white as a sheet. Paul slinks home. Tom asks me, "You really got something on Bryce?" I nod. Emails, texts, proof he's been trying to force people out for months. You gonna drop it tonight? Only if he lies. At the community center that evening, the room is packed. Neighbors, bored, Bryce in the front row, smirk in place. Karen runs the meeting straight, no more hiding. She lays out the evidence. Bryce ordered fines, tows, and complaints without board votes. I stand up, hand over the emails, plans to teach lessons, push families until they sell, then let his company buy cheap. It's all there, clear as day. The board votes, neighbors cheer, and Bryce is removed, effective immediately. But as he storms out, phone glued to his ear, I know it's not over. Men like Bryce don't lose quietly. Sure enough, next morning, I'm served court papers. Lawsuits for HOA violations, fines tripled, threats of foreclosure. Bryce shows up with lawyers, a restraining order. Mark, Tom, and Karen rally fast. Karen calls an emergency board meeting, confirms Bryce acted alone. Every complaint since March unauthorized. The days before court are wild. County inspectors, power company errors, more anonymous tips. But I keep everything. Every letter, receipt, photo, with help from Tom and a few brave neighbors who admit Bryce has been running this game for years. Mark pulls county records. Karen brings signed statements. The day of the hearing, the courthouse is packed. The judge listens as Bryce's lawyer tries to make me look like public enemy number 1. Grass too high. Porch light left on. Dog barks at squirrels. Mark lays down the deed, taxes, permits. Karen testifies about Bryce forging her signature. Tom hands over the smoking gun, Bryce's own words in black and white. The judge doesn't even hesitate. Case dismissed, restraining order flipped on Bryce, orders him to stay off my property, and recommends the board file civil suits. The room erupts. Bryce's face is red, then white, then gone as he's let out. Neighbors clap, shake my hand. Karen stands with me on the courthouse steps, promises real change. But men like Bryce, they don't fade away. That night, a brick crashes through my window with a note. Leave or regret it. Tom's Jeep screeches up. Mark shows in minutes, files a report. Next morning, drones buzz the cabin. Live streaming, flyers on every porch, rumors spreading. The emergency board meeting is a war zone. Karen, finally done with being used, bans Bryce from all HOA property. The next day, a fire starts at the edge of my land. Quick, controlled, but close. Fire crew finds Bryce's initials carved into a lighter in the ash. Mark's done playing. The county issues a warrant. That evening, cruisers pull up to Bryce's house, lights flashing. He comes out shouting harassment, but when the officer holds up the lighter in an evidence bag, Bryce goes silent. They cuff him in front of everyone, drive him away. I wish I could say that was the end, but as Mark said, judges decide sentences, but some men wait for darker corners. Still, for the first time in months, the cabin feels like home again. Karen brings lemonade. Tom helps fix the fence. Neighbors talk about a block party. At the sentencing, the judge gives Bryce 2 years for arson, harassment, criminal mischief, orders restitution, and a 5-year restraining order. The board votes to rewrite the bylaws. Community first, rules second. Kids draw on the street. Karen runs the HOA with a new board. Tom joins to keep things honest. Life returns, quiet, slow, the way a lake is supposed to be. So, yeah, I got my piece. But I know stories like this never really end. They just change shape. Power, pride, control, they can light fires or build something worth keeping. And the only thing that stops them from burning everything down is neighbors willing to stand up, even if it gets messy. What about you? Ever faced a Bryce in your own life? How did you handle it? Did you walk away or stand your ground? Tell me where you're watching from and what you think justice looks like when it comes to communities, power, and starting over. Let's hear your story too.